What's poppin', everybody? I'm back from Reaction Nation. This is Brad, and in honor of the great American Horror Story returning for an all-new season, I am going to do Mrs. Mojo's Top 10 Scariest American Horror Story Moments. I'm going to do a reaction video on that. You know us, we don't waste a lot of time. Let's get into it.
Well, there is a reason the show isn't called American Comedy Story. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 scariest American horror story moments.
Yo, this show, I'm sorry, yo, this show is just amazing. I mean, it has the enough comedic spin. It's sometimes vulgar, it's of course scary. Like, I'm a huge horror fan. It's my favorite genre, and I just want to thank Ryan Murphy for really just making this show. And in spite what some people say, 1984 was amazing to me.
For this list, we're looking at the most bone-chilling scares in American Horror Story. The focus will be more on psychological horror rather than gory or shocking scenes. If you're not caught up on the show, a spoiler alert is now in effect. Number 10. Thaddeus and the Twins.
Excuse me. You are going to die in there.
Shut your mouth or we're gonna kick your ass!
Well, American Horror Story definitely did not waste any time in living up to its name. The pilot's opening scene contains one of the most hair-raising moments of the entire series, as two twins vandalize the wrong house and pay a hefty price. Now, to be honest, this scene is not going to win any awards for originality, but it does a fantastic job of establishing American Horror Story's tone, while also just being an all-around intense moment. Thaddeus appears a few more times throughout the first season, but the infantata arguably peaks in the opening scene. Number 9. Penny's transformation into the Lizard Girl.
Were you there again?
Yeah.
With him?
This was on. Oh my god, y'all.
Yes.
Freak show.
And I'm going back for good.
Season
I just came home
4.
to pack. You're gonna have to kill me to stop me.
Freak Show's main storylines tend to be rather polarizing among fans, with the season's highlights generally revolving around Elsa's Cabinet of Curiosities.
Do anybody else recognize him from Oz? Tobias Beecher?
Unlike most of the other troupe members, Penny's transformation from hospital volunteer to astonishing lizard girl was artificially induced by the girl's hateful father.
Beauty's painful, sweetheart. Stick out your tongue. I had it forked.
In Freak Show, the supposedly normal people, who constantly ridicule or hurt members of Elsa's troupe, are the real monsters. And no scene better encapsulates this theme than Penny's undesired mutation at the hands of a tattoo artist and the worst parent of all time.
This is my fault. Oh, what have I done? Oh.
Number 8. A special dinner party.
Hey, come sit next to me. Between you and me, you don't want to sit next to Jeff or John. They like them young and cute, like you.
Just keep your distance.
Aww.
Enjoy your last night of freedom.
In the aptly titled Devil's Night episode, the ghosts of infamous criminals convene at the Hotel Cortez for an annual feast that mostly consists of the other patrons. With the likes of Eileen Wuornos, Jeffrey Dahmer, and the Zodiac Killer on the guest list, this dinner is unsurprisingly packed with rousing conversations and unforgettable entertainment.
To our special night and our new guest.
American Horror Story loves to blend fact and fiction, and Devil's Night took this one step further by creating the definitive terrifying banquet featuring some of the vilest people to ever walk the face of the planet.
But imagine what he could have accomplished had he really listened to me. 33 bodies. He could have had 333!
Number 7. American Morbidity Museum.
Why we gotta travel all this way for skeletons and such?
Because I need a witness to this.
Orphans is not only one of the strongest standalone episodes of Season 4, but also of the entire series. One of the episode's highlights sees Maggie taking Desiree to the American Morbidity Museum, more popularly and accurately known as the Museum of Horrors. During a tour provided by the unnervingly sprightly curator, Desiree is shown some of the museum's attractions, including Ma Petite's remains, poor Salty's recently acquired head, and, to Maggie's surprise, Jimmy Lobster Boy Darling's hands. What makes the scene extra creepy is how it's presented as just any other museum.
Commonly referred to as lobster hands. Notice the fused digits connecting the first and the middle.
Number 6. Lana undergoes conversion therapy.
I mean, you would never intentionally
Banana.
expose these little angels to a homosexual, would you? And we both know what that so-called monster in the closet really is, don't we, Miss Winters?
When journalist Lana Winters decides to investigate the insane asylum Briarcliff Manor, she finds herself an unwitting patient instead. Left in the charge of psychiatrist Dr. Thredson, whose compassionate and reasonable facade hides a sinister truth, Lana is forced to undergo so-called conversion therapy. Everything related to the storyline is hard to watch, but what pushes Lana's therapy over the edge is that it has a basis in fact.
They tried hard to crush my spirit. Something there is that doesn't love a wall. That sends the frozen groundswell under it. And to destroy my mind.
American Horror Story definitely has plenty of more graphic scenes, but this is one of those instances when the show's knack for psychological horror shines true.
They use it at Harvard, Brigham Young, Cornell. The theory is that we're training your body to be physically repelled by certain triggers.
Number 5. Shelley at the playground. In the competition to determine American Horror Story's most unfortunate character, Shelley floats to the top after being put through a series of truly horrifying trials at Briarcliff. Abandoned in the woods with her legs amputated, she clings to life just enough to crawl to a schoolyard nearby. But the children and their teacher react with horror at the sight of her, leaving her not only physically but also mentally devastated.
Peggy Cartwright, what on earth is the matter?
There's a monster!
Seeing someone who's been through so much desperately fighting to survive could have been uplifting, if not for the fact that American Horror Story hates happy endings. Number 4. Shelby meets the Piggy Man.
Speak, pig! Speak!
Pigmen seem to be a recurring theme on American Horror Story, and they creep us out every time. In the second episode of Roanoke, Shelby and Matt are haunted by strange visions after moving into their new house. Although the ghostly woman standing outside the house is quite unsettling, the apparition has nothing on the disgusting pig thing that stops by to say a quick hello to Shelby. The costume is just the right mix of cheesy and gross, while the scene comes so out of nowhere that it almost doesn't feel real. Number 3. Dr. Oliver Thredson's Secret.
So, why don't we just concentrate on you? And then I'll see what I can do for Grace.
For the first few chapters of Asylum, the seemingly well-meaning Dr. Thredson is the one beacon of hope at Briarcliff. Then episode 5 happens, and twist! The good doctor is Bloodyface. After escaping from the asylum and taking refuge at Thredson's home, Lana notices the doctor's unique handcrafted furniture and begins to wonder whether maybe something is not right.
I make the shades myself.
Really? What kind of material do you use?
Skin.
Along with being a genuine surprise for not only Lana but everyone watching. This reveal is expertly paced so that the secret is pieced together just seconds before Thredson abandons the facade.
I took her teeth.
Number 2. Buried Alive.
I'm trapped. I can't breathe. I'm screaming as loud as I can, but no one can hear me.
With this moment, American Horror Story covers its bases when it comes to phobias. Surprisingly exempt of gore, this season 7 scene sees a young couple being buried alive inside coffins by a group of demented clowns. The moment is preceded by Rosie, one of the victims, talking about how therapy helped her overcome a childhood fear of being buried alive. Combine that with the eerie music and the bone-chilling sound of the coffins being screwed shut, and you've got pure nightmare fuel. If nothing else, the clowns sure have a great sense of ironic timing.
2 bodies in the early stages of decomposition were discovered in the home, sealed in burial caskets.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Violet discovers her own body.
I agree.
Stay, please, I don't want to die.
This was spooky and heartbreaking.
It's too late for that.
Violet is the living personification of teenage angst, as the young girl tries to deal with living in a less-than-ideal household while also having feelings for the resident ghost. At one point, Violet tries to take her own life, but is seemingly saved by Tate, the guy at least partly responsible for driving her over the edge. Or at least she seems to have been rescued. Until later on, Violet discovers her own body in the house's crawl space. This reveal represents everything awesome and haunting about American Horror Story. A moment that's both shocking and tragic.
I died when I took all those pills.
I tried to save you.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this up.
Y'all, I just love watching American Horror Story clips. It makes me so giddy, but yeah, I agree. It may be some that I mean, to be honest, I think this could have been the top 20. But y'all, I'm trying to make my reactions for season 10. But y'all know Disney own it, and y'all know they trying to block a brother. But I'll be back with more reactions. I'll talk to y'all later.